Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Good Data product journey inside the Q3 roadmap, new features, and a customer spotlight. I am Ryan Dolley, and I am thrilled to be here with you. So let's jump into it. All right, so Good Data product journey for today, September 17th, 2025. We have got a really good lineup for you today of features to show. So we're going to do new feature updates. I will be demonstrating a lot of new features that have gone into the product in the last couple months since we last talked to you in July. We'll show you the Q3 roadmap and bring my friend Corey Allen from MSX International onto the show to talk about the work that we're doing with them in the automotive space. It's some pretty exciting stuff that we're happy to share with you today. So a little housekeeping before we get going. Of course, you've all been muted. That doesn't mean you can't participate. So get your questions, comments, everything into the Q&A box. I will be monitoring it live during the show, so you can get your questions in. Don't hold them to the end. It's more fun if we discuss it all live, right? So let's do that. And of course, as always, a follow-up email will go out next week with the recording to all registered attendees. So if you're watching this in the future, hello. So maybe some of you are unfamiliar with Good Data, and this is your first time watching one of these. We are the analytics product platform. Ultimately, we are tailor-made for people who are trying to go further, farther, faster in building analytics products to share with their customers and end users. And we do this by analytics as code and great integration with your stack and the ability to move fast and do CI/CD and scale really well. All of those things come together. We're really the analytics platform for when good enough is not good enough. And you can't just have some dashboard you share, but it's got to be the perfect dashboard and the perfect analytics experience. That's when people choose us. And we're really excited to be providing those services to everyone. So let's talk about what's new in Good Data. I'm going to demo a number of features today. Some of these are production features, some are experimental features, and some are beta features. And so as we go through this, if you see something like Analytics Catalog and you say, that seems really cool, but I don't see that in my environment, well, it's an experimental feature that you or your administrator can turn on, and then you'll have access to it. So do note that some of these features are experimental or beta, and that means that they're in live development. We need to hear from you how they fit into your workflow, what's good about them, what could be improved about them. So turn these on, play with them, and let us know what we can do to make your experience within Good Data better. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and jump in here to our Good Data environment, and we're going to start taking a look at some of these things. So the first thing I want to highlight is the Analytics Catalog. The Analytics Catalog is designed to do a number of things. It's a foundational component of what we're doing with AI and Good Data. So powerful AI needs powerful metadata. It needs great descriptions, it needs all those things, and we're creating a way for you to easily monitor and manage those things. So when you turn the Analytics Catalog on, you'll notice that we now have a fifth tab at the top of the app, Catalog. And when I click on that, the first thing you're going to notice that's really nice about this is it just makes it really easy to find things within Good Data. So we have this composable analytics environment. As you all know, every object in Good Data is its own definition. So visualization, yes, it exists on a dashboard, but it exists independent of the dashboard. It hasn't always been so easy to search through and find these things in the past. And so not only is this an important step towards AI, but it's also a really important step to make it easier for you to manage the environment. And we do that in a couple of ways. You see, I can filter for object types. So like, hey, just show me every visualization in this environment. And now I'm just looking at the visualizations versus, show me the dashboards in the environment. Of course, I can search by who created it. And then I can search by metadata tags. So one of the things that you can do now that you couldn't do in the past is really easily add tags and descriptions to the objects that you find here. You'll see if I click on this dashboard, I get this slide out window, and I can add in a description like this dashboard is maintained by sales ops, contact Merrick for details. And then I can add these metadata tags to it. So I'll add another one, we'll call this sales. Okay. So now, not only am I making it easy to find these things, but this information is provided to GoodData AI. So if someone is searching for revenue information, because I've applied the revenue tag to this, GoodData AI will do a better job at surfacing this content based on that tag. Likewise with the description, the things you put in the description are actually taken into account by the AI. So if you would want to give instructions to your end users or the AI in the description, you can do that, and that will impact how GoodData AI functions. So that's a really exciting update. If for no other reason, then it just makes it much easier to find and manage your content here within GoodData. Next, we were going to look at the centralized automation management. So those of you who have been following us for a while know that we've been on a big journey at creating the best automation features of any BI tool. And we've done a ton of work over the course of the year to do that. And now we're kind of wrapping it up by giving you a really easy place to manage all of those automations. So again, this is one of those features I mentioned. This is a beta feature. If you turn it on, you will get at the organization level, so the highest level of your workspace hierarchy, you will now see this automations on the side window. And if you click on automations, what you are going to see is this automations screen, which catalogs all of the automations that are running in your environment. And this is really important actually, because automations have this tendency to proliferate, especially if you turn on self-service automations. And then people leave or content gets stale, but the automation is still running. And you really don't want to be burning CPU time and queries in your underlying data warehouse with automations that nobody's paying attention to anymore. So you can see here, I have a list of exports and alerts in my environment. These are slightly different things, right? An export is, hey, just send me this dashboard as a PDF or an Excel file schedule, versus an alert is, hey, look at a data condition and then trigger some action. And that action doesn't have to be, most BI tools, what that means is, hey, email me the alert with a link to the dashboard or a PDF of the dashboard. But because we have this, we're so committed to bringing engineering principles to analytics, what you can do here with these is actually trigger actions in other applications over API integrations. So it's a pretty deep feature. If you're not using it, I would really encourage you to check it out. It's very powerful. But what you can see here is that I can look at, for example, show me every alert that is failing, right? And I don't have any in this environment, so that's great. But that's something you really want to know as an administrator, right? What alerts are failing, that are running that are failing? And then from here, I can also directly edit these alerts. So, I can click here, it will take me into the alert, and then I can look at the alert condition, change it, do whatever I need to it, change the recipients, all that sort of thing. So this is kind of, up to this point, you've had the ability to create these alerts, but there was no good way to manage them. That's what this kind of closes that loop. And now it's really easy for you as someone running a GoodData environment to manage these alerts. So that's another one of those enhancements. I think this and Analytics Catalog are all about making your life as someone running GoodData much, much better, particularly as you get more and more workspaces and more content. Obviously it gets challenging to manage, and we're really committed to making that as easy as possible for you. So that is the centralized automation management. Now this next one I want to show you is aggregate awareness. And this one requires a little explaining to really understand how powerful it is. But But what this basically does is it allows GoodData to intelligently select the right table in a situation where you have, say, summary and detail tables, or maybe you have a number of aggregation tables at different grains of data within your data warehouse. We can really hide all of that complexity from your developers and users and consumers and make the presentation very simple for them. But behind the scenes, we're doing a lot of work to always select the best table to maximize performance and minimize costs. So let me show you what that means. I'm going to go into this data model you can see here, and let's just hop into edit mode. This is all data is all stored in DuckDB, and what I want to highlight here is that we have this is LinkedIn data that we've downloaded, and we have this table, right? So this is say a very detailed table, and imagine a situation where this table is very costly to query. It takes a long time because there's so many records, and it costs a lot of money because there's so many records. So what people will often do in this situation is they will aggregate this data at a higher level. So in this case, we've aggregated at the state level and the country level. And these are real tables in the underlying data warehouse. So like this is a DuckDB database. These are 3 tables that exist in the DuckDB database. Now, and this works great, right? So if you're asking a question about countries, instead of querying this detailed table, we can just query this country table. Likewise with this state table. So this works really well, right? The problem is, look at the complexity this has introduced into our data model. So I've got essentially the same information in 3 places. I've got information about salary data, and I've got it here on this table, and on this table, and on this table. So the question becomes, if I'm a developer or user, well, which one should I choose? This feature does away with that question. It does away with that complexity, and it does it by allowing the GoodData query engine to intelligently select which table should be used when the query is generated. Okay, so the way that this works is you can see when I add a field to a table, now I have a third type, this aggregated fact type. So if you have this situation, you're adding fields in, you're adding measures in, you're going to choose this aggregated fact. And that tells the query engine, hey, this is an aggregated fact, and it exists elsewhere in this model. There's multiple versions of this same data in this model at different aggregation levels. And then the other thing you'll see if I go into the details now we have this precedence level. So this is really, precedence level is how you tell the query engine kind of the order of these tables. So you can see country is at the precedence level 2. It's got a higher number, so it comes first. And then state is at a precedence level of 1. So what have I done here when I set this up? I've told the query engine these are aggregated facts, and these are the order in which you should take them, right? And the end result of that will be clear. If it's not clear, this should make it clear. So let me look at this calculation, and you'll see that I'm taking I'm taking from the detail table this normalized salary, right? So postings detail.normalized salary. This is from the detail table, okay? And then if I show the SQL for it, you can see, well, where is it taking let me look at the SQL. It's actually, right now, it's pulling from that country aggregates because I set that as the highest precedent level. So already you can see that how this comes into play. As a developer, I'm writing a query. I only need to reference, I don't need to know which one of these is the right one to pull from anymore. I pull the detail, but it's intelligently selecting this aggregate table for me at runtime. And you'll see the same thing. Let's go ahead and run this metric preview. And you'll see here that if I change this, let's look at that state information, state name, and apply. Now I'm pulling from that state aggregates table, okay? And again, you don't have to You don't have to understand this anymore and know where the right, what table is the right table to pull from. It will just pull from the correct table. And then likewise, if we change this up and let's look at company name and get rid of state, now it's pulling from that detail table. So really what this gives you the ability to do is optimize performance and cost on the back end and eliminate complexity on the front end. And the final thing to kind of show you how this works is, from an end user's perspective, again, there's just one measure. There's not three at the state level, the detail level, and the country level. There's just one. And so if I'm a self-service user and I'm in here working with this, all I have to do is, I drag this in and I'm working with it. And if I go down to the state level, behind the scenes, GoodData is automatically going to select the correct level of aggregation at runtime, right? So I think, if you've been building data warehouses for a long time, you get this. If you're newer to this or you haven't seen this design pattern before, it's maybe a little hard to wrap your head around, but once you do, this is super powerful and we're really happy to bring it to the platform. So we have a couple questions here. How do automations and alerts work for multi-tenancy workspaces? Can we build alerts or automations at the parent workspace that inherit to the child workspaces? I think that that's a good question. I think they all kind of exist at the organization level right now. But Steve, let's get back to you on that one. And then the show run SQL that I'm showing, is that a new feature? Steve, you must use GoodData a lot. Yes, that is an experimental feature that isn't available yet. But Steve caught the secret preview of an unreleased feature by seeing what I was doing in the metric editor. Yes, Steve, that is coming. So then we have a question from anonymous attendee. Who says, in the logical data model, can you explain how you have added aggregate data set? I did. I went through that once, and for the sake of time, I'm not going to be able to go through it again. But when we release the recording, just watch that section. I think it shows you how to do it. Also, it's in the docs. So if you go on gooddata.com and look in the docs, you will see all the instructions you need in order to add these aggregated data sets to the data model. Okay. Great questions. Keep the questions coming, please. It's awesome to get participation from the audience when we're doing these. Yes, let's leave anyway. Okay, so next I want to show a couple changes that are powerful, I think, for the end user experience related to filters on dashboards. So two things to note. The dashboards, one thing that we've shipped, let me go into edit mode here, is we've now added these to date filters to your default date filter dropdown. So you no longer have to try to calculate these. These come out of the box. If you want to do quarter to date, month to date, week to date, or year to date comparisons, it's just default behavior. If there are other periods that you would need, let us know. Obviously, we can continue to develop this. If there are other powerful and relevant relative time comparisons that you need, let us know, and we can put those in. But you can kind of see, right? I can apply the month to date filter, and that brings up the second thing, right? You notice when I clicked this, there was actually a change in behavior from how this typically functions. So the default behavior in GoodData is that if I click on a filter, it will apply the filter immediately. And that's great, but that has some downsides. The downsides being there's a lot of queries being generated and sent to the underlying data source, and it can cause your customers to have to wait longer because they see a spinning wheel, and they might click the thing and wait for everything to load and then go to the next one. And instead, you'll see when I clicked on this, actually it hasn't executed a query. We now have this apply button in the upper right hand corner and this helpful reminder, apply filters to see updated data. So this is now something you can control at the workspace and organization level. And that's important to make clear. It's not at the dashboard level. It's at the workspace and organization level. And you can choose, do I want the query to run instantly when I click on a filter value, or do I want to give my consumers the ability to choose, all of their filter states and then click the apply button and have it issue a single query to the underlying database to get results, instead of every time I click a button, it issuing a query, okay? This is all, a lot of things I've been showing up to this point are beta. This is a production feature. So this should be turned on in your environment now. And the place that you will find this, let's leave this dashboard. The place that you will find this is if you go into a workspace. So let's look at the workspace here, and you click on settings. Here you will see filter application mode. So this filter application mode is how you change this. And we have two options. The filters either trigger individually or they trigger all at once or together, right? So here's where you control that. And this is something that this is a pretty frequently requested feature, so we're happy to be able to deliver it we're happy to be able to deliver it to you. There's one last thing I want to demo, and then we will get into the roadmap, and then we will bring Corey on to share with us what he's doing with MSX. But before I get into that, of course, if you have questions or you like what you see, certainly if you like what you see, let us know in the Q&A box, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have or share your feedback live here during the show. The last thing I want to show here is, let's go back into this GoodData workspace. And this is a small feature. It's a highly requested feature, but I think the most exciting thing about it is what it means going forward. And that is the ability we now have to do text wrapping in tables and pivot tables. So let's just grab here. Where did it go? Let's take customer email. So this is one of the most requested features we've had. Can we have text wrapping and more control over the display of things in tables and pivots? And the answer is yes. What we've done is we've actually gone and we're rebuilding the table and pivot table functionality within GoodData to give you way more interactivity and options in how things are displayed. So this is really the very first part of a longer journey to make this feature set way better than what it's been. And so you'll see now, if I click on this, I have some options to turn on text wrapping, and I'll turn it on for both headers and cells here. And then as I shrink this and grow this, it does the wrapping in real time. So, I can set kind of a width that I like, and I can have confidence that any text that comes into this column, if it exceeds the width of that column, will wrap down to the next row. And like I said, this, it's highly requested. It's just the first feature that's going to come to a pretty significant revamp in how these work. How our table and pivot table objects work. And so you're going to see a lot more functionality coming over the remainder of the year, giving you the ability to do things such as, set aggregations or sorts or all sorts of interactive capabilities that your customers might want that kind of give you a little bit more almost of that Excel-like feeling. It's certainly not going to be Excel. You're not going to have you're not going to be able to enter, type in your own values into cells or anything like that. But the ability directly interacting with the object to set sorts and aggregations and that sort of thing will be coming to GoodData over the next few months. So that's an exciting thing to look out for coming in the near future. And we have another comment from Steve. He says, I really want that metric SQL/run preview 100% needed, as the only way to view metric results is to use it today. Absolutely, Steve. It's a really nice feature. I don't know exactly when we plan on bringing that into the product, but we can get that information to you. So yeah, but I agree, it's awesome. I hadn't used it until I was prepping for this, and once I did, I was like, oh, we need this so badly. This is such an awesome addition to the platform. So so that is what I have to show today. Let's get into what's coming in the GoodData roadmap before we bring Corey on to talk to us about the great work that they are doing at MSX. So there's a lot on the roadmap. For the sake of time, I've chosen a few things to highlight that I think you will be really powerful or you'll be most interested in. But listen, if you want to go through the full roadmap, reach out to your customer success manager, and we're happy to set up some time to do a really deep dive on it and get your feedback on what we're doing. There's more on the roadmap than I can show you over the course of today's presentation. So do that if you want to see what's coming. So what are we working on now? These are things that are under active development that our developers are working on immediately. They don't have a fixed delivery date yet that we're sharing publicly, but rest assured, like, there are hands to keyboard engineers working on the stuff we're talking about right now. The first one is a key driver analysis. So what this is it will look at the changes in a metric in a period versus period way, and then tell you what drove that change. And so this is something we're really actively developing. We're doing, as we speak, we have a number of prototypes and designs, and this is something where we need your feedback. So if you're interested in this and you would like to see what we're building, reach out to your customer success manager, and we can do a session with you to show you what we're thinking for the key driver analysis. The idea behind this is that it's going to be an object within GoodData. So it will be something that you can embed within your environment. If you want to have, say, you want to take the key driver out of our dashboards and even just put the key driver analysis in part of your application, you will be able to do that. And so it's a really powerful way to kind of give that next level of insight to your customers. And we're really excited to be building it. And like I said, reach out for a preview of this to give us feedback as we work on it, because this is something we're really actively developing. Now, the other thing we're doing, of course, some of you, and we're getting more and more questions about this. The AI plans are about, of course, more than just chatbots within the BI interface or a chatbot within your tool. It's about a broader AI-driven integration with the rest of your technology. And so one of the things we're working on right now is the first step in our production journey towards having a GoodData MCP server. For those of you who don't know, MCP stands for Model Context Protocol, and it is kind of the way that AIs can talk to one another. It is kind of the easiest way to think about it. Like what APIs do for software, MCP does for AI models. And so what this will do is it will expose all of GoodData's functionality to applications like Cursor, for example. We already have an MVP of GoodData working with Cursor. So if you're interested in that, that's something that we can talk about. But the first step of this is going to be exposing the automations within GoodData to other AI tooling, so that you could be in something like Cursor and say, hey, what data is available within GoodData? Okay, build me this visualization. Okay, send me this visualization every Monday at noon, for example. You could do all of that through a different AI-driven application, not just through ours, right? So that's something we're working on right now. Accessibility compliance. We are on track to have full WCAG 2.1 AA compliance for dashboards by the end of the year. This is, of course, a really important step, whether for regulatory purposes, if you're in the EU, and otherwise just to provide a an accessible user experience for your consumers. This is something we've been working very hard on, and there's a lot that goes into it. I won't talk through it all today, but things like working with screen readers, having accessible options for colors, having well-formatted HTML and CSS so that it can be interpreted by accessibility software. All of that sort of thing goes into this, and that's something that we'll be delivering by the end of the year. We're doing an accessibility audit. So if this is something that's important to you, reach out to your customer success team, and we can provide that accessibility audit so that you can look at where we are in terms of accessibility. This is another one we get asked for a lot. We are increasing the results on the number of the number of results that a query will return from 100,000 to 500,000. So you'll be able to have 500,000 rows or results that come into a visualization or a table before we start truncating it and saying, hey, we're only displaying a certain percentage of the data. And then when this is happening, the behavior we'll give you is your consumers will see that this is happening. You can see that we have this message here. So we'll say, hey, we're not displaying all the data. And in order to see all the data, you can export the full result set. So people will always know when they're receiving a partial result set, and they'll be able to choose to export the full result set out of GoodData so that they can work with it and see the entire result set from there. And then finally, and like I said, there's a lot more we're working on right now. I just picked 4 for the sake of time, but reach out and we'll do a roadmap deep dive with you and your customer success team. The AI-enabled geospatial analysis. So what this really means, look, we're revamping the mapping capabilities within GoodData to give you a lot more interactivity and to give you things like the ability to have not just points, but to plot shapes within the maps, to overlay points and shapes, potentially to do heat maps, to add your own hierarchies or extend your own, add your own GeoJSON if you have a GeoJSON with custom mapping, with a custom mapping layer, the ability to add that to it. And then also to make sure that this functions with the GoodData AI assistant. So when you're asking questions related to geographic elements, the AI assistant will be able to answer with a table or a chart, but it'll also be able to answer with a map. That's kind of the scope of what we're working on right now. There is a more advanced level of mapping that we will tackle in the future, which gets into more kind of geospatial analytics. Can it plot distances? Can it plot routes? Can it say, hey, show me everything within a 15-minute walk in Prague of this location, for example? We have ideas for how we might do some of those things, but this first iteration is really to give you the best interactive mapping capability that meets 95% of your mapping needs today. And that's something we're actively working on as well. So then what's coming in the future? Well, the first thing is a number of you are using our AI assistant, and we're getting great feedback on it. And one of the things we hear loud and clear is I need to be able to customize this to my specific industry, my specific terminology, the specific roles that are interacting with my data. And so that is something that we'll be working very hard on soon, is this AI assistant memory. You can kind of see an example of it here on the screen, what we're thinking we're going to do. And it's really to just add context to how the AI assistant functions. So you can say, hey, when users ask about, when they use this terminology, it really means this. Or, if someone asks, like our example here, if someone asks about Europe, that means that, it should be mapped to the West region. So if anytime someone uses Europe, it will know that if I'm building a filter or building a map, I should focus on this region, for example. So you'll be able to set rules, abbreviations, and synonyms, and then custom settings to change the tone or the behavior. Let's say that you want to have one AI assistant that is talking with managers and executives, and another one that's talking to data analysts, and another one that's talking to I don't know, front of house people. Let's say you're in the hospitality industry. You'll be able to tailor the assistant based on who is consuming that data to have the right tone of voice, to make the right suggestions, that sort of thing, is something that is being worked on. And really, that gives you a window into what we plan on doing. Is the idea is, look, we're not going to just give you a single AI assistant that exists to answer BI questions. We are opening this up so you can make kind of tailor-made assistants and agents that you can provide to different customer groups to fulfill different purposes. And that will be, yes, data analysis, but it will increasingly also be data processing, the ability to do things, not just answer questions related to data. And so that's something you can look forward to. This assistant memory and customization is the first step. Likewise, in order to really provide a great AI experience, we need to improve the semantic model quality. So this will be helping you build the right model, right? We will assess your semantic model structure and surface gaps to you and provide not only show you the gaps, like you can see the example here, we have some metadata quality issues, and we're saying, hey, we need descriptions for these fields, but we will also be able to proactively generate suggestions for these items for you. So kind of we'll give you, hey, here's the problems, and here's our suggested way to solve it. Like here's a suggested description for customer ticker, and then you can accept the suggestion or say, no, that's wrong. Here's the right one. But this is really important for how AI functions, to have great semantic information, a great data model. And this, in conjunction with that AI memories and customizations, is how we're going to give you the exact AI assistant or AI agent experience that you want to provide to your customers. This is the key for getting that experience. And so we're working hard on that right now. Of course, there are some tried and true things, right? It's not all about AI. So tabs on dashboards, we hear you loud and clear. You need tabs on dashboards. This is something that we will be developing and shipping into the product soon. Likewise, fiscal calendars. So we have these, earlier on, I demonstrated our year-to-date capabilities, quarter-to-date capabilities. These are great, right? But what if you're a company where the year starts June 1st? Well, you need to be able to tell GoodData, hey, the year starts June 1st for me, not January 1st. This will give you the ability to do that. And so with that, I want to go ahead and welcome Corey to today's show. Corey, how are you doing, man?
Doing well. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for the overview. It's been enlightening today.
Good. Yeah. What's out of the stuff that you saw, what was most exciting to you?
Of course, everyone's gonna, want to go to the AI and the data pieces because those are super important. From our perspective, and you'll see, in the product that I'm launching is, I'm really interested in the mapping, the geo mapping, trying to get
Yeah,
things launched for us. Just very tactical pieces that we're trying to launch is super important.
absolutely. So why don't you tell us a little bit about MSX?
Yeah, so MSX, we've been around for over 30 years. We're a global company. We have offices in over 30 locations. We operate in over 60 different locations. We're a tier one supplier for automotive manufacturers. So, working for the Fords and the Toyotas and any of those big industry players. We also have dipped into mobility space, so working with anything that moves is the idea. What we've traditionally done for that span of time, if we've been experts in the field, we've been able to go out to dealerships, train the coaches, sales, after sales. We can run big BPO solutions, doing warranty claims, any kind of auditing services. So that's, the customers come to us to be able to, whether it's outsource or be able to kind of staff up and train as experts in the space. What you'll see, kind of the branding, if you ever go to our website at msx.com, the branding's different, right? The branding today and the branding of what I'm showing you today is about Contour. And Contour, as you go into the next slide, Ryan, is kind of really where we're really repositioning ourselves in the digital space. So we want to be able to enhance all of our operations through data and analytics, but then also have standalone data solutions that we can sell back to our customers and expand out as the mobility space changes. So what makes us different is because we have this wide variety of expertise across the globe, across the industry. We have coaches at dealerships, 2,500 visits a day across the globe is what we do. So we have a very great pulse of the industry. We know what's going on at the dealership versus our competition. You're typically just getting the data and trying to process the data and understand it. We do that same thing, but we want to integrate our knowledge base as well. So this unfair advantage of being able to handle transaction level data, being able to have the talent and expertise both in the data science, data engineering space, but also in the automotive industry space is super important. And then the last piece is having the right technology and partners, right? So we see GoodData on there. We leverage Databricks for our data infrastructure, and then we partner with Google and Microsoft to kind of deliver the whole platform as itself. So that's the goal. And then I'll give you guys a quick demo of the tool and the process of, why we're building this. So let me share my screen. It's this one. So what we have, this is our content management system, right? So what we do is we build all the dashboards within GoodData. We take everything that's built out from a data infrastructure in Databricks, we pipe it into GoodData, and then in GoodData, we use the APIs to integrate it into the CMS platform. This allows us to run translations back and forth with GoodData. And then we're also able to do role-based. So as we roll this out from an OEM, so the corporate users can see everything, the regional and the district users can see their specific specified areas. And then as the dealers log in, they only get to see their information. So we're able to contain and control the data, keep it secure, and then only make things relevant to them. So as I go through this, I want to start off with more of the performance reporting. So if I focus on performance and after sales, what we've done is we've built standardized templates within GoodData. These are all from the Contour brand, and then what we do is we push them out to each individual program. But the idea is the same, right? We want to launch this with top KPIs at the top, so everybody's talking the same language. We're not looking at everyone building something different or 14 or 15 or 20 different reports. These reports are extremely dynamic, where we can plug in multiple different filters. They can look at the different work types, they can look at the different pay types, they can drill down to vehicle age, the district, things like that. And this allows us to pump in a ton of information into one screen. And then they're able to, with GoodData's features, we're able to download, the users can download to Excel or the data or to PowerPoint for their different presentations. So at the top, we have all the important KPIs and they can see their trends. And then we start to get into comparisons and trending. The users can see, the breakdown of the mixes of the pay types and the work type. And then what we do is we use the visualization switcher within GoodData for all of our charts so that the user doesn't have to go back up to the top and refilter. So if we're looking at the KPI trending, I can switch from an RO to maybe parts revenue, and they're doing that right there. And then if they're looking at a specific geographic comparison, they can do the same thing. I want to switch to that specific metric. I want to compare myself from my dealership to my district or my nation. And then they can continue to scroll and be very interactive and decisive of what they want to do. We then have some comparison bar charts, very specific. Again, the vid switchers are coming important here. Some additional breakdowns. So each report has some additional trending or non-trending. And then at the bottom, what we do is we allow the user to be able to export. So everyone always likes to get into, especially in the world of automotive, get into their own Excel, get into their own features. So this report's given them all their details, and then we've standardized that data at the bottom for them to print that table out, be able to use it in the way they want to. I'll click into another one really quickly, but you'll see the format's the same. So the idea is that they know where to find it. Even as we add new reports, they know that their top metrics are at the top. They know their trending and comparison charts are in the middle, and then they know their downloadable tables at the bottom, right? So we have their top KPIs as it loads, their comparisons, and then in the parts area, we might be showing something a little bit different where they're able to see, missed opportunity. They're able to see their parts loyalty within their brand, some comparison charts. And then we get to a viz switcher in this one where they can see between parts loyalty and their commodity parts. So that's our base reporting. We always start with kind of the measure or the performance side. So we want everyone to be very, very consistent as we look at the data maturity curve. As you start to get predictive, everyone has to be speaking the same language, looking at the same KPIs, trying to drive the same performance. That's when we start to get into insights. The first one we have within our insight space is what we call lead indicators, and this is the dynamic report. We're going to take in daily repair orders, Typically in automotive, they wait till month end and they wait till everything finalizes. With this report, they're able to then see what's going on a daily basis, but then also see themselves 21 days out. So as a service manager or a dealership, I can start to understand maybe I need to make a change, or maybe I don't need to make a change. Maybe this is a seasonality thing. So if my current trend and all these are like this example, my current trend is going down. Hey, don't panic. We're seeing that the seasonality change is telling you that you're going to bounce back up. So don't make any drastic changes in this aspect. This is the first step of being proactive, right? You already understand your measure. We want to get into this dynamic and forecasted level of data. What we're doing here is we're actually pulling data. We're using Gen AI to produce the text. We're going to get into a more recommendation specific piece as I go through the process here, but this is more descriptive and reading the data and using Gen AI to produce the text. Then when I get into the top opportunities, this is where we leverage our industry knowledge base to start pulling things ahead. So when we see a specific KPI, sometimes demo data is always fun to show, as that shows one, but that's like hours. So let's see if I can look at ROs. So the idea here is that you can switch between different key metrics that we want to focus on. We can then see what the target metric is specified for them. Are they above or below it? Do we have an opportunity in monetary value that they're missing out on, whether that we do or we don't? We also have recommendations for that metric. So the immediate actions and long-term strategies are pulled from our knowledge base, from all our coaches that's constantly implemented and updated, and it gives them those suggestions. So they not only know that I'm down, but we give them a direction to go as well. So this is where we get into this actionable insights. It's not just we don't want to be another dashboard, we don't want to be another report. We want to be tangibly available for them to be able to make an action with their current operations. And then the last one I want to show on the inside side is really just kind of showing the scatter plot, right? We're taking indexes, we're being able to plot different KPIs, and they're able to categorize themselves. So each dot on this map is a different dealership. They're able to kind of break down the different index based on the KPIs that we create. And then they're able to see kind of from an overall view who's a top performer, mid performer, or if I'm a specific dealership, I can start to say, where do I lie? Typically what we look at is overall, they might be green, but hey, in the labor index, you're yellow. So we have some opportunity to improve you at that dealership by focusing on some labor, whether it's a training course or something that a coach can go out there and help them coach up. But that the idea here is to identify opportunities based on the metrics that we have. We also have things that we go into. I won't go into much of the mapping stuff today, but we have some things that cover mapping and network opportunity. We have things that give them the whole lay of the land of what's going around their dealership. But the last one, just keeping in sake of time here, is the visit report. So this is where we capture data as the coaches go into the store. And this allows our coaches in the dealership and the corporate to be able to understand what visits are coming up, what action plans are open, where do we need to follow up on. And this is kind of like an idea where they can start to see why was an action created, what's the suggestion, and you're looking at tables and opportunities that way. And then this is just a calendar for them to be able to track when a coach is going to any specific store. So I think that's what I want to cover today from a product standpoint. We're focused on, as I mentioned it before, we go measure, diagnose, plan, and act, and then we loop that through. And the act portion for MSX and Contour together is super important because now we have the tools and technologies to enable the corporate, the field, and the dealerships to be self-service, where they can look at their data in the same exact platform. And then our coaches can also look at that exact same data and be able to train them on that same thing. One thing that we're going to be launching with GoodData, as you guys are launching that AI BI chatbot, that's another self-service thing that we're very excited to launch. I know that's still in dev, but that's something that we're planning in our roadmap as well.
Awesome. Corey, I am actually quite curious. You MSX has such a like a strong field presence. There's like a really strong operational element to MSX where you have people out in the field at dealerships working with OEMs every day. How do you get their knowledge into your analytics platform? Like what does that process look like?
Yeah, that's the big challenge today, right? So we're starting to build out different processes. We have a wide range of different value streams. So we're focused kind of value stream for us is like a business unit externally, right? But each business unit, we're starting to kind of focus on how does that operate? What is the life cycle of what a coach does? What data can they collect? So we're really focused on what are the best practices. So those have to be defined by solution. And then we can start to look at what is the assessment of that dealership. We have to start to look at, you know, what are they implementing, right? So can we start to correlate? So we're starting to get into causal analysis as well of what specific items that we check off in an assessment or at a visit is the successful dealerships doing, and then the unsuccessful dealerships are doing. So the data collection we have standardized tools for to answer your question, and we're pulling that into our data fabric within Databricks, and then kind of we're building the taxonomy for that to be able to map back to the causal analysis that I mentioned, and then map it back into this knowledge base where we can start to pull based on correlated metrics. The interesting thing will be, and we haven't fully proved it out yet, but the interesting thing will be is, are the industry experts always right, or can we prove them wrong with data? And that's always
Yeah.
the interesting thing is if we start to see certain causations or correlations with data, is that going to go against the natural industry trend, which we're full of here in automotive.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Automotive is definitely I've been doing this for 30 years and I know what I'm doing kind of business.
Exactly.
We did have a
Exactly.
question from Steve Fox as you were going through. He wanted to know, he just like, did you say you're using Gen AI to update the recommendation based on the data in the dashboard? Question mark.
Yeah, so what we do, that's actually fed. We do it right in Databricks today. I think that's something that we'll look at potentially if we can implement that in good data. What we're doing right now is just building the structure of the sentence, and we're plugging in the KPIs into the sentence. The sentence is dynamic. We don't want it to be extremely static where the sentence is the same every time and you plug in the sentence. So we're using Gen AI from an aspect of just keeping it more creative and more personable to the customer. As we get more confident with that Gen AI and some of the recommendations and the knowledge base, we're going to kind of open that up a little bit more to actually allow it to provide further recommendations beyond just the output.
Awesome. Corey, this is thanks for sharing with us today. This is really, I know your team's been working hard building out this Contour product, and it's really exciting to see it come to shape. And I feel like every time you demo it for me, it's like better and cooler than it was last time I saw it. So that's just congratulations to you and the team.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been great to work with the GoodData team, and we're learning as we go, right? We came from a background of Tableau and Power BI, so the team's been working to transition a lot of our products, and we're excited to continue to kind of build out that knowledge base within MSX across the globe. So
Great. Well, thank you for joining us today.
thank you. Thanks, everyone.
All right, folks, that is the end of the webinar. Listen, if you want to keep up with us, there are lots of places to do that. Of course, we're active on GoodData. You can follow us on all the socials. We have a community Slack. If you're a GoodData customer and you're not in the community Slack, get in the community Slack. That is the best place to see new features as they ship. You don't have to wait for this webinar. Of course, continue to attend the webinar, but you don't have to wait for the webinar. You can go and see that in the Slack. Also, if you want to connect with us coming up, you have some opportunities in person and virtually. September 24th and 25th next week, we will be at Big Data London. So if you're in Europe or if you feel like taking a trip over to the UK, Big Data London is one of the best data conferences in the world. I highly recommend that you check it out. And then October 15th, we have coming up Decoding the AI Hype, a practical guide to agents, copilots, and more. So this is a really deep dive on how we think about AI going forward, and we'll give you some pretty actionable steps, I think, to start building out these systems in a controlled way within your business. And then October 26th through 30th, the Money 2020 conference in Las Vegas. This is really focused on fintech, financial services, but we will be there. And so if you're in that industry and you are attending Money 2020, drop by the booth and say hello. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for the great questions. If you ask the question and you didn't get an answer, I know there were a couple maybe that we couldn't get to. We will reach out and try to get you those answers. And until October, I am Ryan Dolley. I want to thank Corey Allen again from MSX International for joining us. Take care, everybody. Bye.